Pranab Mukherjee. And we also have Asha Didi, Director of the Om Shanti Retreat Center. And Brother Brij Mohan Bhai, Additional Secretary General of Brahma Kumaris. We also welcome Brother Ken O'Donnell from Brazil and South Americas. He is the Director of South Americas. And Brother Charlie Hogg, who is a coordinator of Australia and Australasia. Okay. Could we have some light on the audience? And we'd like to rise to the Indian National Anthem. So if we could all rise and lights up.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you. We now have a welcome dance from my niece, Lieb.
खुशहाल बनेगा ये जिंदगी मुस्काएगी मुस्काएगी हम कर्मयोगी बन करके परिवर्तन जीवन कर ले आए संसार में सम्मानित जीवन जी ले सम्मानित जीवन जी ले
समय की पुकार है समय की पुकार समय की पुकार है समय की पुकार
ना द्वेष रहे ना राग रहे ना द्वेष रहे ना राग रहे हम सबका प्यार पाले आए संसार में सम्मानित जीवन जी ले सम्मानित जीवन जी ले
समय की पुकार है समय की पुकार समय की पुकार है समय की पुकार
Anis Lieb from France. Thank you, Anis. And now I'd like to introduce again our brother Charlie Hogg. He's the Brahma Kumari's regional coordinator in Australia, and he's been a meditator since 1977. He spent 4 decades inspiring people to bring practical spirituality into lives, and we'd like to ask him to share his aim for the conference, or the aim for all of us. And welcoming again Vice President of Argentina.
Your Excellency, former President of this great nation, India, Pranab Mukherjee, Your Excellency, Gabriela Michetti, the Vice President of Argentina, and my very dear brothers and sisters. In just a few moments, I would like to share a little bit of the origins of this event, and also the aims, and a little summary of this morning for those who have just arrived. In fact, this is the 3rd time that we have met in Delhi. The Brahma Kumari centers of India and around the world have joined together to celebrate spirituality. And last July, I was in Moscow with our dear brother Brijmohan Bhai, Sister Jayanti, and others, and we were discussing what will we do this time. And instantly, seeing all the issues that seem to be clouding our very fragile world, we decided on the subject, spiritual responses to critical times. And it was particularly relevant to me because I had just come from a retreat in New York. And a very influential group of people from Wall Street, the World Bank, many leaders had collected together. And in their language, they said there's like a spiritual revolution coming in this world from the grassroots. And they were talking about small groups and large groups in countries, cities, universities, schools that are trying to find a new way to deal with the world we are all seeing around us. And what they said, these leaders, was that our outer world, which we see, is a result of our collective inner world. What we are all seeing out there is a result of what is happening in here. And hence this conference, to look what is happening in here, because if the inner world creates the outer world, how do we deeply change the inner world? And I think this morning this has been beautifully addressed by performances and talks. And I'm just going to encapsulate a few pertinent comments. Our very lovely Vice President of Argentina, an extremely special person, she said, "What is the response that politicians can give us at this time of crisis?" She said the response is a spiritual one. And she said of her own life, her relationship with God inspires her to serve others. And the most important example for her as a politician is to be an example of love. Who would like to see more politicians talk about love? I think most of us. And she told us that, or she told me personally, that in her job as the vice president of a very large country, she often brings up the subject of love. Then Sister Genti joined us, and Sister Genti positioned it in a different way. She talked about Indian philosophy and the concept of eternity, and that we move in cycles. And what she was saying is that the era of falsehood is peaking, and it's going to give way to an era of truth, dignity, love, and power. And how this is the natural process, that things peak and then change does come. So she saw a lot of hope in the future. Then there was a lovely interview, and Neville, who's a journalist from London, interviewed three very diverse people. Victor, a politician, former politician from Australia. Valentina, a pediatrician from the Seychelles, Africa. And Ayako, a professional musician. And what was really touching for me was how they integrate spirituality in their lives, how they lead a mainstream, busy life, but spirituality is the seed of everything they do. And then Sister Shivani also met us, and she began by saying something very beautiful. We come from different countries, different cultures, but there is one vibration. Why? Because we have one love for God, and that's the thing that pulls us together. And I found her spiritual response to these times very special. A time of moving from wanting to giving. And she told us all to give, and keep on giving as a response to what we see around. And interspersed with these beautiful, rich talks, we had a dance from Brazil, a song from Portugal, a magic show from Hong Kong, beautiful violin playing from Japan, and a dance from China. And finally, we saw representatives of 130 countries, like a family working together in a positive way to respond to the world in which we see around us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now I'd like to request Asha Didi's presence and welcoming our former president, Pranab Mukherjee.
Om Shanti. Om Shanti. We are extremely happy to have amidst us a very deeply spiritual person who, through his life and actions, has glorified the culture of India. When we approached our brother, Shri Pranab Mukherjee, the former President of India, he saw the title, Spiritual Response to Critical Times. He gave it a thought and wrote something on the letter, and finally accepted our invitation to be with us this afternoon. We welcome you, brother, from the core of our hearts. And I would like to tell the audience, because most of us do not know about his personality. It is my pleasure and privilege to welcome and introduce our brother, Shri Pranab Mukherjee, the former President of India. Respected, learned, prolific, wise, and worthy former President of India, Shri Pranab Mukherjee, whose public life spanned 5 decades before he resigned as a leader of Lok Sabha to become the 13th President of India. You are credited with the rare distinction of serving at different times as Foreign, Defense, Commerce, Finance Minister of the largest democracy of the world. Your good self is a person of unparalleled experience in governance and diplomacy. You have been particularly acclaimed for your role as a consensus builder on difficult national issues. Yes. The list of your achievements during your long and illustrious public career is very long indeed. Widely traveled to all parts of the world, you have glorified India as its worthy son and were conferred honorary doctorates by universities of 8 different countries. You have authored several books on Indian economy and nation building. You were honored with the best finance minister of the world by Euromoney magazine in 1984. The best parliamentarian award by Indian Parliamentary Group in 1997. Padma Vibhushan Award by President of India in 2008. Finance Minister of the Year for Asia by Emerging Markets in 2010. On 5th March 2013, Best Administrator in India Award by Karuna Karan Foundation in 2011. On 5th March 2013, he received the second highest award of Bangladesh, the Bangladesh Mukti Judo Sanmanona, that is called Liberation Award. Recently, you have been honored with Bharat Ratna, yes, the highest civilian award of the Republic of India on 26th January 2019. We know you are a noble human being with high principles and respect for all classes, genders, religions, and every other human being. Above all, you are a visionary statesman with courage of conviction, having good of the nation only at your heart. Always looks at the good of the nation. Now, free from protocol, constraints of the highest office of President of India, your honors, words of wisdom are in high demand all over the country. Today, the whole Brahma Kumari's family, brother Dadi Janki is not able to make it. She's in Ahmedabad hospital, and she sends her good wishes and blessings to you. We are lucky in having you with us today, and we'll have an opportunity to listen to his words of wisdom. Brother, welcome you again. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Good afternoon. Her Excellency Gabriela Mukherjee, Vice President of Argentina, Sister Brahmakumari, Asha, Chairperson, Administrator Services Wing of Brahmakumaris, Sri Brij Mohan, Additional Secretary General of Brahmakumaris, Mr. Charles Hogg, Brahmakumaris Regional Coordinator in Australia, Mr. Con O'Donnell, Brahmakumaris Regional Coordinator, Brazil, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I especially welcome the distinguished guests coming across the seas to our country, the land of ancient civilization, India. I welcome you and wish you stay amidst us on this great occasion. I am indeed very happy to be amidst you to inaugurate the International Conference of Spiritual Response to Critical Times. At the outset, I would like to applaud The efforts of Brahma Kumaris present here today and all over the globe of their splendid services to humanity. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Brahma Kumaris community has 4,500 centers in 137 countries. I am told delegates from 131 countries are present in today's conference. This is an unique fiat. Neither is the fact that United Nations has recognized Brahma Kumaris organization as a formidable non-governmental organization. It fills me with pride that their genesis is from within our nation. This has been the land of Swami Vivekananda and Sri Aurobindo. They reintroduced the light of the Spirit in a tormented nation, and from them I take my inspiration for today's topic. We live in an unprecedented times of change and crisis in families, in nations, in politics, workplaces, relationships. As individuals, people are experiencing anxiety, insecurity, uncertainty, and depression at all levels never seen before. These are truly critical times. It is as if we as humanity are leaping from one crisis to another crisis without stopping to reflect, ponder over, and take account. This, of course, means that the majority of the people are living not in action, but in reaction, fear-based and defensive reactions. This outer state of the world is a reflection of the inner state of the world. Our moral, ethical, spiritual foundations seem to have become weak. Ego, lust, greed have become deeply rooted in human psyche, shaping a cultural of personal gratifications and greed, and going to any extent to fulfill their greeds. People have become callous and indifferent to the plight of the fellow persons. Their focus and actions are centered on getting what they want, even if that would mean harming or depriving others of their basic dignity and rights. The daily news is filled with horrifying stories of murder, fraud, rape, torture. Women, children, and other vulnerable sections of the society have become helpless prey to the viciousness of those who have been totally blinded by ego and lust. Now is the time when we must turn our attention to the moral, ethical, and spiritual dimensions of our life and strengthen these elements which form the foundation of truly advanced and happy society. The call of the present critical time is that the solutions to all the problems of the world lie in the elevated human consciousness, in the elemental spiritual wisdom and values. Spirituality points us to the realization that when we act with generosity, compassion, respect for all, we lay the foundation of a holistic progress for the entire humanity. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, spiritually is important for any individual. At times, it is confused with religion, but spiritually carries a deeper meaning in its strong connect to our daily life. Being spiritual is being devoted. Working harder for the growth of the nation is an act of devotion in itself. Working harder to become contributing and responsible citizens of any great nation is an act of devotion. For children, listening to their teachers and parents is an act of devotion. To study without any distractions and to put your best efforts towards any activity is an act of devotion. With an august gathering assembled here right now, I hope this forum would help in propagating such a message. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, spirituality forms the support base of the normal and social principles which has made mankind civilized. We belong to a country and a civilization that has always attached great importance to spiritual thought. It is one of the many gifts India has given to the world. From ancient times to modern age, India has been a guiding light among nations when it comes to spiritual leadership. Lord Krishna, Lord Rama, Lord Buddha, Lord Mahavir, Emperor Ashoka, Kabir, Guru Nanak, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Swami Vivekananda, Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore. Throughout our history and in our present, we have been blessed with the great spiritual thinkers and teachers. This is a land where Dharmarajya has existed once. This is also the country that fought its battles for freedom using nonviolence as its means. The Indian school of spirituality has never differed from logic. It has never barred opinion or dissension. It is a school of thought that has always preached unity in difference. I got it from Maha Upanishads. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Whole world is my relation. Yatra Vishwa Bhaveteko Niram. Here, the whole universe makes it nest. So, what is spirituality for us today? I believe it is an India that lives by the values we have always upheld through our history. An India that embraces diversity, that is open, inclusive, where people live with the values of inclusion and tolerance. It is also an India where people strive for achievement, for personal growth, and for balance in life. Our philosophers and spiritual thinkers have spoken of the need to achieve a higher level of being. spiritually awakens that inner power of human beings. That power also helps people to face difficulties in their real lives. Every religion imparts the lessons that we can surmount our problems and challenges only with truth. Gandhiji made his experiments with truth and he candidly admitted it. His stories of realization the truth, title of the book itself, My Experience with Truth. This international conference today should reignite our minds to maintain our roots in truth while we together pursue this battle against critical times. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, spirituality gives a superior meaning to whatever we do. If we approach life and crisis with the same piousness as we have been, we worship God and will experience a sense of being uplifted, of being connected to a greater power. We need to inspire commitment and positive attitude to our people. Through Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna guides us by saying, and I quote, Tamasat Askat, O Arjun, always perform your duty efficiently without attachment to the results, because by doing work without attachment, one attains the Supreme Person, unquote. In today's world, which is becoming more and more insular, it is imperative that we use spirituality to guide us in our thoughts, deeds and actions. Spirituality shows us to treat others, how and in what manner. All religions profess values of reformation of the human being. Once again, that great book says, and I quote, perform all work carefully, guided by compassion. Spirituality means embodying kindness, compassion, and selflessness. If these values flourish in our citizens, the society would become happier, more peaceful place to live. This effect will transmit to the wider community, from society to the nation, and eventually to the entire humanity. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as I started my observation by saying it is a land of ancient civilization, but at the same time, today it is the youngest nation demographically, the youth of our greatest strength and our beacon to hope for a brighter future. We have to ensure that our rich civilizational values are instilled in them as we strive for higher levels of socio-economic development. We need to ensure that we remain connected to our values. It will guide us to a path of growth that is rich in spirit and wisdom. Once again, I am reminded of the observations of Mahatma Gandhi on environmental protection. He warned the world by saying a few simple words. The Mother Earth has everything to meet the need of you, but not the greed of even a few. We must substitute need, essential need, by our greed. Greed must be left, and we must pursue the real need in harmony with the people at large, transcending the artificial barriers formed in the form of caste, creed, religion, social barrier, and all sorts of artificial barriers which have no real value. I am quite confident this great conference will convey that message to the entire humanity, and I do hope we will have to breathe in a better atmosphere, in an atmosphere which is not vitiated by violence, an atmosphere which is not fouled by the cries, agonies of the depressed and oppressed. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Jai Hind.
And now, our senior brother, National. Thank you. Yeah. And now our senior brother, Brij Mohan Bai, will present a shawl to our former president, Shri Pranab Mukherjee. And now he's presenting a shawl to the Vice President of Argentina, Marta Gabriel. And now, if we could please stand for the national anthem or the light. Okay, sorry. Now, first we'll have the light. So, Brother Charles Hogg, Director of Australasia of the Brahma Kumaris, presenting actually a light, a candle light in a beautiful urn to our former president and to the Vice President of Argentina. And now if you could please all stand for the Indian national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
And now we say from our hearts a goodbye and a thank you to our dignitaries. Charlie. So Charlie, they want to sorry, Dada, I couldn't change it because I have to run to the lights, to the music, so many things. I'm very sorry. It is my fault, not hers.
Nobody's fault.
I know, but I really wanted to
Everything
do...
has a blessing in disguise.
Acha.
Because it's the most
Om Shanti. So now we're making the stage ready for that beautiful dance. We're going to welcome Gorechi Dunningham back from Brazil to perform that amazing angel dance, because I know some of you may not have been here at the morning session. So now we get to enjoy this amazing dance of angel. Thank you. Nabisco spirit gum. Thank you. That was Gorich Dunningham from Brazil. And now I'd like to welcome Charles Hogg once again onto the stage to share with us some more thoughts for today's aim on spiritual, well, here he is now. Thank you.
Or 90 times, so is it the Indian food? I love Indian food. But why do I keep coming back? Because to me, India offers a spirituality, a deep spirituality that I find resonates incredibly deeply in my heart. And for me, it's not just relevant for this country. I found it relevant to where I live and all the countries I have visited. The spirituality that offers not just to know, but to experience the reality of myself as a spiritual being. And not just know and believe, but actually experience a deep union and connection with the divine, with God. And to me, when I come to this country, no matter what is happening externally, these feelings resonate because it's so deep in the culture of this place. And as we've been hearing so much about the state of the world. Sometimes I see or think there's a crisis in the soul of humanity. And when that crisis bubbles to the surface, we put labels on it. We call it stress, we call it anxiety, we call it depression, we call it unhappiness, we call it so many different things. And we see this epidemic growing and growing, and each one of us is concerned, what can we do? And I would like to ask all of you, do you think India can help with this? I heard a strong yes from down here. I feel that India can really help. India can give a gift to our world, offering these deep truths. And not only can India give it, but I think it's happening. Because my experience is that wherever I go in the world now, you will see sisters in white saris. It may be in New York, it may be in South America, it may be in Asia, it may be in Russia. But these sisters carrying the traditional views of spirituality at the state of the world, to the point that I would often go on protests against apartheid, against injustice. And at that time, Australia was involved in the Vietnam War. And once at the age of 17 years old, I went on a march against the war. And the students got all excited, and one thing led to another, and I was arrested. And I was put in jail just for a night. But that night really changed me as a person, because as the night grew long, we sat around 200 of the peace leaders in Australia. And as I heard the conversation, I began to realize that we were an incredibly peaceless, negative group of people. And it dawned on me so deeply, the world will not change at all if you try to fight. Can I convert the ideas, the beliefs, the theories into a deep, rich, spiritual feeling inside? And I often feel meditation is converting the knowing into the experiencing, because that's when it becomes a power in my life. And I began to take up meditation. And it was an absolute epiphany, I would say, for me. how different my mind began to feel just putting two truths into my intellect. The truth that I'm an eternal soul and the truth that I have an eternal relationship with God. And as these truths penetrated deep in my being, it changed my whole vision of how I saw myself, how I saw others, and how I saw the world. And allow myself to be completely loved. And to me, that is a spirituality that anyone can adopt. And relationship is not healthy. It pollutes every part of my life. My relationships with you, my work performance, even my physical health as well. And yet, when I begin to experience, and meditation, as Sister Shivani mentioned, is like a laboratory, going into the laboratory of my mind and experiencing the depth of who I am, and then absorbed in this union with the divine. But it not only changed my vision towards myself, but my vision changed to everyone. I think my passion in life has always been to go beyond the differences. And when you see the permanent soul, it's like we really are one family. But when you see a body, there will be differences on so many levels that divide us, which we see in our world. If people like us here adopt the vision of the soul, it's actually taking that energy out into the world, and the perfume of the mind will create a different feeling. But thirdly, I think my vision changed to what was happening on our planet. And I really feel that we're at an extraordinary time. On the one hand, we see a world that seems to be declining so rapidly. But on the other hand, events like this are taking place of people who want a different way, of people who understand that unless I change, the world won't change. And I really do see, as Sister Genti was talking, that we move in cycles, and we seem to be at the end of an era where the culture of body consciousness is reaching an extreme, and the seeds of a new awareness are really being born. And my real hope for events like this is one very simple thing, that we just don't come here and listen to the lovely ideas, watch the superb performances, but actually, I lend my little finger to a spiritual response to a very challenging world and begin my own journey, my own practice, because it will contribute to a much better world for all of us. So thank you so much, and Om Shanti.
Thank you. So, we've met some extraordinary people, and one of the things that we think is incredibly beautiful is that we have former presidents, current vice presidents of countries who are thinking, feeling about the importance of spirituality and raising consciousness in the world. And this is really a sign of the times. We have craziness in the world, and we also have such goodness, such light emerging here and now. And not just in Brahma Kumaris, and not just in presidents and vice presidents. And we have some special guests with us today, and we'd just like to take a few minutes to acknowledge them. So I'm going to invite you to come to the stage, and I would like to invite from Bharat, Dr. A.K. Merchant, who is the National Trustee cum Secretary of the Lotus Temple and Baha'i Community of India. Please, would you come up on the stage?
Secretary.
And the former secretary. Ah, okay, good. So would you mind just come and stand here for me, because we're going to have a number of friends. Okay, so, and Mr. Anibal Fernando, can we have the house lights up, please? Thank you. Mr. Anibal Fernando, Defense Attaché of the High Commission of Mozambique. Where are you? Dr. Anibal. Okay. So, not here at the moment. You were here a moment ago. All right. So, Mrs. Shireen Kamaluddin from Malaysia. Yes, please, Shireen. Come on up. And Shireen is the chairman of INSAF in Malaysia. She's a very wise woman. She inspires many people with her writings and her talks and her inspiration. We'd like to invite the Reverend Ezekiel Isaac Malakar from here in India. He's a priest and honorary secretary of the Judah Ayam Synagogue in New Delhi. Please come on up. Thank you. And for us, it's incredibly rich to have our friends with us from the other spiritual traditions. Please come over here. Okay, not yet. And we would also like to invite Diana Lin from Hong Kong.
There is no Buddhist now.
Okay. Diana Lin, where are you? Over here. Diana works in the media, and can you imagine a more important place to be bringing spirituality? Just take a... Okay. It's okay, go on. Go on. Yeah. Acharya Dr. Lokesh Muni. Thank you. Who is a social reformer, versatile thinker, writer, and poet from New Delhi. Very, very warm welcome to the stage, and thank you for being here today. So if you just take a... Suripinda Sian. Suripinda, where are you? Suripinda. Kalvinda. Where is Suripinda? Not here at the moment? Ah, okay. So Suripinda is an executive in the National Health Scheme in the United Kingdom. So welcome to the stage. Please, sisters. And we have Dr. Thomas, Dr. M.D. Thomas, the founder, director, Institute of Harmony and Peace Studies in New Delhi. And how important is that work? Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. Thank you. Dr. Ruth Gawler. Dr. Ruth Gawler, where are you? And Dr. Ruth Gawler is from Australia, and her work has been varied and vast, but very special work working with Indigenous people. So Ruth, thank you very much. Mr. Bakht Ahmed, who is a Chancellor of the Maulana Azad University in Hyderabad, and apparently the grandnephew of India's first education minister, which is a beautiful tradition of education and upliftment and enlightenment. Thank you for coming to be with us today. And from overseas, we'd like to invite Mr. Rob Sampson, who is here from Australia also. And Rob has a range of different kind of hats that he wears. But I would say his greatest thing, he is an insightful seer of what is going on, and he has a capacity to name that, and he brings transformation just by being. And then, thank you. So please give these people, who are a sample of our friends here today, who are working for peace, working for the upliftment of humanity, believing that each of us can do something to make a difference. And I would just, okay, so we are one. We are one. And for those of us, beautiful photo, huh? Thank you. Those of us who were here before the break, this is exactly the message we had, before the break. We are one family. And I would like just to take a greeting from each and every one. Just one minute of greeting. Yeah. Thank you. I'll just hold the mic. Yeah. No. If you just give the greeting. Come on. If you give, just here. Okay, I'll start here. Rob.
Carolyn.
Give a greeting about peace.
Thank you very much.
I'm coming on the line.
Oh, thank you very much. I sometimes feel like a bit of a fraud because my wife is also, she's called a peace activist, and she says that peace begins in your mind and in your hearts and is all around you. Remember, peace is on your lips and in your hands. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What I learned from being a friend of the Brahma Kumaris for more than 20 years is that I am a peaceful and loving soul, and that I am eternal. And that touches me deeply. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shireen from Malaysia.
Om Shanti. Thank you for having me here, and it's so nice to meet all of you. And we are one soul. So happy.
Thank you, Diana. Subinda.
Thank you very much. Coming from United Kingdom, it's a privilege to be on the stage with eminent souls, not just on the stage, but also in this room. I hope to take this energy back to the United Kingdom and spread these good vibrations. Thank you.
Thank you, Subinda.
Om Shanti. Baha'is believe world peace is not only possible, but it is inevitable. Let it be this generation. And we, the spiritual souls gathered here,
because she has been joining lacerated hearts and broken homes. I wish all of us follow Shivani Behan, Shivani sister, in the path, what she is doing. Thank you once again, Brahma Kumaris. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very, very much.
ब्रह्म कुमारी परिवार को भारत की धरती पर हम सभी इंटरफेथ लीडर बहुत बहुत बधाई देते हैं कि उन्होंने 137 देशों के स्पिरिचुअल प्रतिनिधियों को यहाँ पर एकत्रित किया। और मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा, सरकारें अरबों रुपए खर्च करके जो काम नहीं कर सकती, वो कार्य ब्रह्म कुमारी परिवार के द्वारा हो रहा है। इसलिए
a woman has an existence as mother, as sister, as wife and daughter. But the woman, she does not have her existence as a woman. But Brahma Kumaris, through Brahma Kumaris' work, now the woman feels that she has the existence as a woman. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I wish to compliment the Brahma Kumari Ishwari Vishwavidyalaya for organizing this great international event on the spiritual response to the critical times. And on this occasion, on behalf of, together with all religious traditions and head spiritual masters, I wish to join hands with all the spiritual leaders to make a world that is more inclusive and harmonious, and a place that is worth living for the humans. And may this event contribute to this spiritual consciousness in India and all over the world, that we have a better world to live in from today onwards.
Thank you very much. And Ruth, finally, would you share something?
As a Jewish woman from a Jewish background who became a Buddhist, I would like to say that I thank the Brahma Kumaris for recognizing the virtues and the strength of women, and for giving such prominence and dignity to women in this world. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Would you give them all a wonderful round of applause and know that they are sample of all of us here who are making changes. Thank you very, very much for being with us. Om Shanti. No, we finished now. Go.
It was not clear. You will announce or not?
Hello. That was beautiful. I don't know if you remember this morning, we had a beautiful dance by Wang Shi Ying, other known as Kushi. She did a beautiful Chinese dance, and now she is going to perform a traditional Indian dance for you. So please welcome Kushi.
जीवन जो तुजागर है सत्यम शिवम सुंदरम सत्यम शिवम सुंदरम सत्यम शिवम सुंदरम सुंदरम शिवं सुन्दरम् ईश्वर सत्य है सत्य ही शिव है शिव ही सुंदर है सत्यं शिवं सुन्दरम्
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Neville. I'm a writer from Oxford in England. And my own warm greetings to every one of you who have joined the programme this afternoon, and a warm welcome back to those who are here this morning. My job is to introduce to you two deeply spiritual individuals. We had a sort of chat show this morning. This afternoon it'll be a little bit more of a conversation because it's just the two, but they're sharing on the topic of living in the world of everyday life and living a life with God. So the two aspects which so often people feel, how could you do both? You've either got to be like a hermit or a sannyasi or a nun, or you can be out in the world. But these two are both actually living a life with God, but very active in the world. So it's going to be my great pleasure to invite them both to join me. First, please welcome Bishop Philip Huggins. Bishop Philip Huggins, President of the National Council of Churches of Australia, which is an interreligious body itself. Bishop Philip is an Anglican, has been an Anglican bishop for 20 years or so, but he is extremely interested in interreligious work. So welcome, Philip. And secondly, I would like to invite you to give a warm welcome to BK Jasmine, who for nearly 25 years, Jasmine was a pillar of the Global Retreat Centre at Oxford, England. GRC was the first retreat centre opened by the Brahma Kumaris, and it set a pattern that has been followed all over the world. So Jasmine is a real pioneer. Thank you for joining us, Jasmine. So I'd like to, I think, begin with you, Jasmine. I know that you're not used to coming up on a stage, especially in front of thousands of people, but but it's very, very nice to see you. You see, she has, I don't know if the camera is picking it up, but she has a most wonderful, infectious smile. And her pealing laughter has echoed around the retreat centre for decades. So even through that, she serves a lot. Jasmine, you came to the briquets and actually decided to dedicate your life to this movement when you were 17. You were in Germany. Jasmine speaks English better than most English people, by the way. She really does. But she's from Germany. That was her native language. And it's one of the most wealthy countries in the world, and yet you came in for this life of simplicity. What was it that brought you at such a young age as a 17-year-old? Oh, Jasmine's not on at the moment. Here, take this one.
Actually, I was on a very intense spiritual search, I guess, from very young age. So I started really from, I don't know when, but young age. I was reading a lot between the age of 10 and 16, spiritual books. And so I'd actually, I don't know, there was a deep yearning inside of me, I guess. You know, just this, I'd always believed in God. And I have memories actually even of my childhood, of remembering God when I had any problems, and speaking to him a lot in my mind. So that was always very natural to me. But then I needed more clarity, I was thirsty for knowledge, for understanding myself, and for understanding the world, understanding why the world is the way it is. And so I read a lot, and I actually came to the understanding of God being light. I understood that from a young age, and I believed in reincarnation also. Again, this was a result of studying and thinking very deeply. And then, in fact, what led me to the meditation was, I remember going to school, and because I believed in reincarnation and in karma philosophy, I was very aware of my impact, the impact of, I just slow down, the impact of my thinking, that if I had a negative attitude or outlook about other pupils, that, you know, that's really creating bad karma. I was aware of that. And so I remember thinking I need to change this, but I didn't know how to do it. So that's what led me then to thinking meditation would be the best. So then I actually looked into various different paths. I went to different groups. And then somehow I came to the BK Center in Hamburg. And you know, it's like when you find your right place and you know this is it. This was the way it was. It was really instant recognition. And in fact, I remember the first day when I went, they were showing pictures of India, of the headquarters of Madhuban, and I was very deeply touched, and I thought, I have to get to this place no matter what. So then I asked the sisters at the center, you know, how can I get there? What do I have to do? And so that's how, you know, I got into it, and I felt instantly at home. I knew this is it. There was no doubt. This is my place.
It really surprises me to hear that even at the age of 10, or maybe even before that, you had a feeling that there was a God, that there was a need for that God in order to help us to live with better values and better qualities. That surprises me because, as I mentioned this morning, my own story was rather different. I turned my back on all of that in my teenage years and actually decided that science was the best way forward, until I discovered a lot later that led to a kind of dryness in life, that spirit is a very important part of reality. But you got it so young, and you actually understood in reincarnation too. You had a feeling that there's more to us than just the brain and the body.
In fact, the reincarnation, that was an interesting one, because although I believed in it, I was convinced that it's true. I always thought, well, if you see, the way it's usually explained is that we are, you know, life is like a school, and we incarnate to learn, and so we keep developing. You know, like they have this idea of you start at a low level of development and you work your way up. You know, your journey, your spiritual journey takes you upwards in your development. And I always thought, well, if that is the case, why is it that the world is getting worse in a way? What I was seeing around me was that there was more sorrow. And so that was the one big question I had. So that was a big question in my mind. And then going to the center, that had a huge impact on me when I actually finally understood that, you know, we actually came from a place of perfection. We are perfect beings, and we've just lost our energy, like a battery, you know, that energy is getting used up.
Right, this is a very special understanding, isn't it? That,
yeah.
As Harry, the musician, was demonstrating this morning with the spinning discs, that he called it spinning the discus of self-realization. This idea that we actually begin our journey in a state of perfection and lose that, but can then regain it. So let me ask Bishop Philip, firstly, thank you. It's really great that you should be in a conference like this to be representing the Christian tradition, that you've come from Australia to join us. I know you've had a passion for interreligious dialogue and cooperation. Could you tell us why you see that as so important?
Thank you for the kindly welcome. Look, we are one human family on a tiny planet in a vast universe, the end of which is still to be found. And the more we live out of this reality of being one human family and approach one another always with the feeling that we've got something to learn from one another, then we can make some progress. Here we are, down on the ground in this astonishing gift of life, and every day really is a complete miracle, and we're gifted with the opportunity to be part of making God's beautiful plan for the whole creation come to its complete fulfillment. I mean, what an adventure that is that's gifted to us, this one human family on this tiny planet. And down on the ground, in my case, with the kangaroos and the kookaburras and the koalas, all of whom we want to make sure are cherished on the journey to the completion of God's beautiful vision. We have a lovely parallel already listening to Jasmine and her awareness of God is light. And in the New Testament, towards the end, is the same understanding. God is light, in whom there is no darkness at all. So the common ground just encourages us to build friendship, build partnership, and make this beautiful vision of the divine completely true.
I love hearing you speak that way, Bishop Philip. It's beautiful, wasn't it? You know, one of the reasons that it touches my heart, especially now, is that in those early days of my atheistic, materialistic outlook, I had a distaste for the way people had used the name of God to kill and discriminate and so forth. So somehow I threw the baby out with the bathwater, to use that rather unpleasant expression. But now I really understand that God is something of ultimate truth, and that there is a nourishment if we can find ways of connecting with that truth that we all need.
Yes, of the many things that are completely useless in the universe, religious competition is one of them.
Right, yeah.
And in relation to how you said, hearing the way God's name was used in a divisive fashion, I think really points us to one of the very simple things we can all do to kind of cultivate a greater awareness of the divine presence. And that is for us to simply say the name or the names of God that we find speak to our heart with as much reverence and love in our tone of voice as we can possibly muster. In a way, it's a sufficient aim of a life to be able to say the divine name with complete reverence, holiness, and love. Tone of voice, you know, is so powerful. We're so influenced by the quality of tone of voice. It's part of why this gathering has been already so uplifting. All the tones of voice have had harmony and sweetness and goodwill to them. And if we, in our daily life, it's a simple thing really, just try to make sure that our tone of voice when we're talking to people in shops, on the phone, in our whatever our public activities are, if our tone of voice is full of love and readiness to learn from the other and a generosity of spirit, it's transformative. And, you know, if Charlie said before, we've got to start this grassroots movement. And if we're going to have people in media and people in high political office addressing each other with deeper respect and the opportunity to think that something good can come from the other, we've got to model it in our tones of voice with one another.
I think Jasmine will very much relate to that. Your role has been not out there with bringing religions together in quite the same way, although you've hosted people from every kind of background at the retreat centre. But I know that one of your skills that I've seen develop in you over the years has been to speak to people in ways that win cooperation, because you've had quite a big team working with you to keep the whole place in order, to all the different roles that you played there. Teamwork requires careful handling, otherwise people will take umbrage, they will not cooperate, they will dig their heels in, there will be arguments. But I've seen you really develop the ability to win people over and make them cooperate. How has God come into that, or is that just something you learned in a practical way?
Well, probably both. I mean, it was a huge learning field for me, and I'd say probably relationships was probably my main learning while I was at the retreat center, because actually I was working with a lot of different, vast variety of people, very different personalities. Some people are very, they work very slowly but very thoroughly, some very fast but, not very accurate. And it helped me really to develop a lot of compassion and understanding for people, because I guess I do have deep love for people in general, and so whoever I was working with, I was always very concerned that they should feel loved and looked after. I don't like treating people like machines, and it's like, this, whatever we do together, we should do it as friends, rather than feeling that, I'm coordinating and I'm, making you do something. And so I actually always gave this priority to develop a friendship with everyone. And with regards to how that relates to God, I think it's just, I have always had an experience of God as love. And even before, even as a child actually, I always believed that God is pure love. And so when I came into this spiritual knowledge, when I started the practice of meditation, I actually had the experience of that. And so when you feel totally, completely loved, and someone believes in you and sees the highest in you, you want to do that for others in a way, and you feel that you are in a way you're an instrument in a way, working with others. So you want to share with them that love, basically, the love that you feel inside, that you've received. And I must say, it's one of my favorite qualities is love, compassion. It's something it has come quite naturally.
Bishop Philip, I can see you relating to how Jasmine is speaking there. And one of the great strengths that I think is generally recognized about the Christian tradition is that it speaks very much of God as love. Sometimes says God is love, and Jesus as his sacrifice, his love for humanity that led him to give his life. How does that connect with everyday life for you? Because you've spoken of how bringing good qualities into your relationships, speaking kindly and tone of voice is important, but are you actually actively remembering God or using God to help you have that kindness in your relationships?
Well, for myself, I'm a practitioner of kind of mantric meditation, in my case, the Jesus prayer. Jesus have mercy, which I've been practicing for some 40 years. And it's one of the beautiful things about coming to here is I've been able to practice my Jesus prayer in the midst of the retreat, the Brahma Kumari retreat, in the silences and in the guided meditations. It's been so beautifully inclusive. And that prayer, I think, like other mantric prayers, what its benefit is that it helps us to make good use of the gift we have of self-awareness, this capacity that we have to be aware, objects of our own awareness. I can be speaking, people can be listening to what I'm saying, and they can be thinking something else simultaneously. It's an amazing gift to be able to do that. But we know, don't we, that what we think about shapes what words we use, what actions we take, and over time the pattern of our thinking therefore shapes our character and our destiny.
Right.
So being able to really be attentive to what we let ourselves think about is crucial because of where it leads. And mantric meditation, in my case, the Jesus prayer. I prayed it before coming here to try and make a decent contribution. I pray it before meetings. I pray it going around through the day, and it comes into my heart as I'm doing things, and it just helps me when I become aware that I'm thinking things that are not going to go in any good direction, trying to always choose the thought that's the truest, the most beautiful, and the kindest. When your thinking's not like that, then in my case, the Jesus prayer, praying that prevents me losing that self-consciousness and descending into thinking and action that I do not want to do.
Fantastic. That is really practical and understandable. Would you like to close our little session with something from that prayer, or with us? You have something in mind that you could offer us?
I'm going to sing you a little song, which, as they say about politicians doing crazy things, is courageous. But you've got to help me, and by humming.
Oh.
So if you could all begin to hum, and I'll sing you this little Jesus blessing song. You ready with the humming? 1, 2, 3. May the long time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and Jesus light within you guide your way home.
Thank you both so much for those insights you've shared. That's a beautiful segue now to another meditation led by Anna from Lebanon, with accompaniment by David from Australia. Thank you so much.
There you go. Thank you.
If we check what has been going on for the last 2-3 hours, so many new scenes have been unfolding right in this room. Imagine in the whole world, second to second, constant change. happiness, sorrow, light, darkness. But it takes 1 second to remember that all this happened on that small stage, the world stage. And it takes a second to see this world that never changes. The backstage. The eternally silent world. Where the silent, star-like actors belong. And it takes a second to wake up and remember that we are these actors. And we now choose to focus our attention on these beings of light and discover what they experience in their silence, when they're free from the story. What do they know? What do they feel? Just by observing them, we discover their treasures, ultimate treasures. They experience security because they have nothing to lose. And they need nothing. The costume needs on the stage, but they need nothing, ever. Their silence is very deep. Because they're full. They don't have a name or trace of desires. They're fearless. They're immortal. They're eternal. They're perfect. And it is these perfect beings that can feel the divine presence, the presence of the director the one who is always awake, the one who always sees the full picture. The drama is drama, and the home is home. The home is the real world. Everything here is real. Unchanging. Silent. Divine. These beings of light have extreme love for the director, the constant companion, God, Shiva, the One. They belong to the One forever. Their connection is from heart to heart. They don't think about God. They don't visualize. They live with Him. They are combined. And when these actors play on the stage, they keep this aim not to forget, to see the full picture, to remember what is real and what is a drama. They come on the stage as guests. They know that everything on the stage is temporary. The only reason why they come on the stage is to reveal the director. Just by being awake themselves. Just by seeing others as they are. Invisible beings of light. We come back because we are these beings of light. And we keep this gentle attention on the invisible reality while on the physical. Just by seeing others as they are, we remind them of their beautiful truth. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Wasn't that lovely? Yes, thanks to Anna Doliani from Lebanon and David Kilowaski from Australia. Also would like to make an announcement that our dear Dadi Janki's fine. She's convalescing at our Ahmedabad Center. So it was announced earlier that she was in the hospital, but she's now at the center convalescing there. So she's doing fine, yes. And now I'd like to introduce a wonderful team called Desert Rose. It's an honor to introduce them because they bring purity and dignity to music, but also their music is like an offering to God. It lifts everything, the roof, so that we experience this transcendence to that vibration, that divine vibration that brings us closer to God. So please welcome Lynn Holmes and Yusuf Ganif, Desert Rose.
Om Shanti. We'd like to begin with a sacred piece of music, Man Manabhava Madhyajiba. And we'd like you to participate as we sing this sacred mantra and contemplate these words, Man Manabhav. Contemplate, I surrender my intellect, and contemplate on these organs of action being used for service, selflessly. We invite you to participate here.
Man
surrender to you, Mana Baba, Mania Jiva, Mana Baba, Mania Jiva.
Mana Baba. Now we call on Shiva, the benevolent one, to purify us at the time when the world has become so corrupt.
Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you.
Wow. Let's hear it for Desert Rose. One love. Thank you so much, Yusuf and Lynn.
We've been asked to end with one more.
No.
Oh, okay. Thank
And
you.
so now, some more magic on a delightful end of things. So from transcendence, now we'll be tickled by the magic of our dear brother Harry from Hong Kong. He has his own television show, so he's going to show a few more of his tricks. Welcome, Brother Harry.
This is amazing. With the magician that no microphone works. That's great. Thanks very much for bringing me back. How about a little round of applause for no reason whatsoever? Yeah, just to get ourselves warmed up a little bit. But there is actually a reason for that, because this is going to be a double dynamic thing. As you know, David, he is quite an amazing person, and he always provide wonderful music for this kind of occasions. But rarely he get some kind of edification by a little applause. I think today would be quite appropriate in such occasions. So David, thank you. However, we're going to challenge him to do something slightly different. But before that, I would need someone to come up and help. And well, let's see who would like to help me in the next following incredible magic thing. Okay, no one is willing. That's really good. Hey, brother. You are so fortunate today. Yeah. You know why? Because I'm not going to get you. Sit down. I want him. Yeah, you come up. Yeah, you look perfect. Yeah, yeah. He doesn't know English. So everyone I pick doesn't know English. Hindi bolenge lah. Okay, okay, no Hindi.
I know Hindi.
You know Hindi, yeah. Okay, well, I know English. That would be perfect. Come up. Well, let's see what happens, right? Okay, please come up. And I need one more person to help. I need a lady, maybe. Yeah. Oh, we have a very spectacular person here from Hong Kong. Yeah, Diana. She's a celebrity from Hong Kong, a very famous journalist. Yes, let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you, Diana. Yeah, I need some professionals to come on stage. Yeah, yeah. Would you please take the microphone? Yeah. And hello. Okay. Yeah. We're talking about purity, so we've got something very pure. Yeah, I just thought of this trick when I was, earlier on in that comfortable room. Some meditation music, but some interesting, funny meditation music. Is that it? Yeah, some snake charming. Okay, this is awkward. All right, all right. Well, let's improvise. Okay, brother, I want you to do this. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about the mic. Yeah, he's very smart. Let's give him a round of applause. Finally, very good. Okay, good. Yeah, you can now relax. Yeah, we don't want you to be like this for the rest of your life. It's time for you to become something different. Yeah. Okay, now relax. You're a human being again. You're not a toilet roll stand. Release the fingers. Release the fingers. Go. Release. Just go like that. Go. Okay, that's my 7 minutes gone already, yeah? Yeah, you just relax. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, relax. Magic! Yeah, the thing is, this is really entertaining. Sorry? My button is, yeah, okay. There are about 10 people at the back telling me what I have to do. Yeah, I think there's, would you like to do this? Well, thank you very much. Do you know most important thing? Because we have a lot of very intelligent and profound people here today, and I think it is wonderful that we actually have to relax a little bit. Yeah, and you have actually given us that opportunity to relax and enjoy. So let's give him a big round of applause for that. And yeah, is my microphone, is it working now? Is it working? No, anyways, don't worry. Okay, come here. All right. If they're not working, let's just do this without the mic. Okay. This is a trick I want everyone to see and learn, because here we have a lot of secret, but it's time to expose the secret as well. So we understand the magic is not just as a secret; it's how we use it. Okay. All right. So. Some water. This music is getting annoying now, but it's very appropriate for my magic. Keep going. Yeah, we're going to make the water disappear in a magical way. Okay, just follow me. Open your eyes now and look and watch. Thunderous applause. Right? Okay. Your turn. What's your name again? Hitesh. It's this. It's not that. It's this. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Just put it here. And do the magic finger. Like that. Yes, that's too fast. I didn't say, yeah. Yeah, okay, never mind. Give him a big round of applause. Very good. Okay, we have a little bit of hope for you. Thank you. She's been very professional. She has not moved at all. And that's wonderful. I think we need a little bit more water. Okay, but it is going to be interesting. Okay, this one. Should you please sit on that one? Just sit down. Yes, yeah. Actually, it would be interesting. Come here, and you sit down like this. Yeah, just sit down. Just calm down. Sit down. Okay, Diana, come here. Now, this is the most dangerous thing of the whole day. Diana, you have been very professional. I actually didn't ask you to hold it on your head like that for 10 minutes, actually. Very good. Okay, relax. Okay. Yeah, hold on to it. It's okay. Yeah. Now, can you feel the weight?
Yes.
Okay, great. I think we can do a little bit more, right? Just a little bit more. Yeah. You think that's good? Okay, now, you go, the cup is right here. Huh?
Pour it on his head.
No, you don't pour it on his head. No, you don't do that. You put 2 hands here, and you need all the yogi power from everyone. Now, we have to think. Is it going to be danger or safe? It's your choice, okay? I want all of you to send your power. Is that okay? 1, 2, 3, go. This music is not helping. Anyways, okay, great. Okay, slowly raise the cup. Yeah, the mic is not working. He doesn't understand, and Diana's hand is shaking. I hope this is going to work. Okay, at the count of 3, Diana is slowly going to turn that the other way. Don't worry, he doesn't recognize you. You're going back to Hong Kong today. Everything's fine. Everyone count 3. 1, 2, 3. Slowly, slowly. Don't squeeze, and just all you have to do is really believe and have a little bit of knowledge. And look, when magic happens, sometimes most of the people hasn't got a clue.
Thank you, Harry. Let's hear it for our brother Harry.
You're great. They will tell you what happened. Give him a big round of applause.
Yes.
You have been providing a lot of entertainment for us, brother. Thank you very much. Yes, you may go back. And Diana, thank you so much for helping out. Ladies and gentlemen, Diana Lin from Hong Kong, thank you. And David, you're great. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Elizabeth, thank you.
So, good afternoon. How are we all going? Great. So, we're up to the final part of our kind of chat show. And I get the great pleasure of interviewing, I won't say interrogating, but having curious questions for three really very special guests. And I'd like to invite them out now. I've been practicing how to say my first guest's name, and I've lost it. But I'm going to have a go. No, I'm going to forget. So I'd like to invite my brother Artem from Russia, if he would please come and join us on the stage. Would you give him a round of applause? And we can have the lights up here. Thank you. And hello, thank you. And secondly, I'd like to invite to the stage someone I've only met recently, but I felt like I've known her forever. And that's Tammy Roos, who is originally from the United States of America and has been living some time in Australia with her husband, Paul, and working with some of the elite football teams and sports teams of Australia. Tammy, you're here. Great. And finally, let me welcome onto the stage Mr. Ian Gawler, Dr. Ian Gawler, who is one of our great treasures in Australia, and you're going to know why in just a moment. Ian Gawler, please welcome him to the stage. Thank you. So, you've all been enjoying a little bit of magic from Harry? Yes? Okay. Our topic is real magic. Not that Harry doesn't do real magic, but we're going to talk about what is real magic. And that's when you can take crisis in your life and you turn it into gold. There's a saying, you know, that whatever is happening is really good. Doesn't always seem like it. And there's one saying that Steve Jobs from Apple said, you can only join the dots looking backwards. You can only see how life situations were meant to be when you look back in time. You go, for that. That's why that happened. Now it makes sense. So I have three very wise and big-hearted guests who are going to share a little their experience. So, Artem, sorry, I practice and I practice your name. He said, you're the only person who ever could say my name, and then I forgot. But we had a very interesting conversation because you're a CEO of a major company in Russia. Now we know, can we have the house lights up, please? Yes. We know that the current economic environment, the political environment, and everything that's going on in the world is not in favor many times for the financial world. Now, can you respond spiritually? I'm very close to you. I'm going to come back a little. Can you respond spiritually when everything goes haywire, when the markets crash, when your competitor gets ahead of you, when the politics go mad? What happens? House lights.
Namaskar.
Okay, take mine.
Okay. नमस्कार, मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि आज हम साथ साथ यहाँ हैं.
Very impressive.
And now back to your question. Actually, I'm holding high-level CEO positions over the last 10 to 15 years, and we have to work in a very intense and changing environment. And quite often we have very big upheavals from macroeconomics, from regulation. Sometimes exchange rate can be doubled overnight, and all that affects business very much. And in that situation, what my personal experience says, it's most important to keep mind cool and reasoning clear. And for that, we need two things together. First, it's a spiritual knowledge that is taught in Brahma Kumaris. And secondly, meditation to make that knowledge work on your own mental stage. And when you are a CEO of a company, it means you are responsible for all kind of performance, and you are responsible for all staff members and all kind of activities. Then your mental stage affects the most the mental stage of your team. And at the time of crisis, to have a cohesive team that is not in panic is a main issue for success and for overcoming all that negative business situations.
So you said a cool mind.
And clear reasoning.
Clear reasoning. And so how do you do that? Really, is it really true? So if the exchange rate doubles overnight, or the value of the ruble drops, and that impacts, how many people work in your company?
In my last position, I had 11,000 people.
11,000, depending on their livelihood for the direction and the success of the company.
Absolutely.
So how do you not go a little bit crazy when those things happen?
That's main aspect that is helping in that. It's knowledge of world drama.
What do you mean by knowledge of the world drama?
It means that everything goes in the best way. And you just have to do what you are supposed to do, what is right in that specific circumstances. And then everything will be okay. And to panic never helps solving troubles. And of course, not to panic, and it's natural for people to panic in tough conditions. Not to panic, for that a practice of meditation is the most important issue.
And do you meditate daily?
Yes.
Every day?
Yes, every day.
Yeah? Okay.
You don't believe me?
No,
I don't look like I'm meditating twice a year. Or
twice a year probably doesn't help, right? You'll panic if it's only twice a year. So do you find that in this world, and maybe Tammy can help us with this too, because in this world of business and high performance, is it more common that people now are starting to integrate spirituality, meditation, mindfulness, these kinds of concepts, not just as concepts, but real practices and lifestyle in big business, in government? Are we finding more of that? Maybe both of you could respond to that for me.
Could you start, please?
Yeah, sure. Hello? No. Is this working?
Take this one.
Sorry. That's a wonderful question. I think what I'm currently seeing in Australia, at least, and I watched some of the studies going around the UK and in the United States as well, that we're seeing a lot of companies starting to really look at wellness, because it's wellness as an objective. I think that's due for a number of reasons, but there's been a lot more studies too linked to productivity, efficiency, and how their absenteeism drops. And then there's numerous categories that start getting affected by bringing in wellness, which is really the meditation. So looking at that from that perspective, I think companies are starting to get there, but it's still a bit, I think they're dabbling right now. Mm-hmm. They're trying to really get there. but they're not really sure how to, I think, make that leap across, and understanding the big hang up at the moment is not having enough time. So in a company space, trying to get the senior executives to lead by example, I think, is one sure way to really start to see a big shift across all companies. But if they could value that 10 minutes, and that's what I try to say to companies when I'm in there, if you can give 10 minutes, then that 10 minutes is going to equate to happier employees, better relationships, clearer thinking, the sound reasoning, better focus, and on, but which also leads to greater productivity. So I think the relationship is they need to understand that it's actually about starting to love the mind and give it a rest.
Love the mind.
Love the mind.
Love the mind. There's an idea. And give it rest.
Yeah, I don't think for me, I guess, growing up in the United States, I was taught about physical activity. I was taught about getting enough rest, getting my, the 4 food groups, and drinking enough water, but no one ever spoke about the mind. And I think that's the big change now that has to occur is looking at the benefits and changing the relationship. We talk about so much about our body and loving our body and that it's our temple and doing the right thing. But I think you can actually also have a conversation about, I need to love my mind.
Very nice.
It's a bit of a change, yeah.
Thank you, Tammy. So, Artem, are you alone in this idea of the CEO who meditates? Or are you finding there's a lot of others as well?
You know that this idea of keeping some balance between heavy business life and normal life, that personal life, is gaining popularity all over the world, and in Russia it's the same. And many people practice some kind of simplified meditation, just empty their minds and trying to relax, and it's called mindfulness. That's kind of a movement. And many people become vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
And in Russia as well, there are many vegetarian restaurants where people can eat some vegetarian food, can order, can delivery, and so on. And it's of course it's good, and it's very helpful because tension and stress is increasing day by day. And we don't see any reason for that to be reduced in the coming dozens of years and decades. And people have that thirst for real practice of relaxation and stress relief.
So for you, it's part of your toolkit, not just for your personal life, but absolutely for your professional life, for your life. That's the thing.
Yes, for me, it's a part of my lifestyle.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Artem. Thank you. And Tammy, I know that you work with like football teams and adolescents, like teenagers. But this idea that crisis can be really a gift in life. When it doesn't feel like it, but it can be really a great opportunity. Have you had experience of that?
I think
bit closer.
It's actually, I guess, to answer that effectively, yeah, the crisis can be one of the greatest blessings, because I think when people, sometimes they have a pain point, they come to this pain point in their life and then they need to do something about it, and that creates a big change. And that's one way that we look at it, and you can look back on it.
When you say pain point,
yes,
what do you mean by pain point?
So they've had a relationship breakdown, they've lost the job, something's happened in their life that actually drives them to then say, I just can't do this anymore, I've got to look for something else. And that's what we see a lot of, is people getting to the point of where they're at that crisis point. What my hope is that we don't have to get to that point, and that for people to really understand that meditation isn't, you don't do meditation or practice meditation because anything's broken, but you practice meditation so that you can get the best out of your life, so that you can live life to your fullest potential. So you walk out your door and you can actually embrace your day with vitality and optimism and happiness and the clarity of thinking, things that make our day. I don't think anyone in this room goes out their front door and says, I want to have a bad day. So I think it's when we're in relation to talking to younger people, or be it an athlete, we all have professional lives and personal lives, and they get influenced greatly by whatever we're doing. But if we can practice just going and having, as we've heard all day, a relationship with our inner world, I just think the benefits will be huge.
Thank you, Tammy. I think that's great. So you're saying it's part of your lifestyle, and you're saying it's part of your lifestyle. And of course, it helps you face crises. And you said to me, Artem, that things happen, but it doesn't really seem like crisis necessarily. So it's really not about management of pain and panic. It's choosing a different way of life, and that helps you face crisis. But it's about happiness, it's about fulfillment, and that's nourishing, loving your mind, loving your inner world and your spirit.
Yeah.
So, you
and
want to say?
I guess perhaps putting it personally back on myself.
Yeah.
So my journey in meditation began in 1999. And I went off to a Deepak Chopra primordial sound meditation workshop. And that was my first, I had no idea what meditation was. So maybe that helped me because I had zero expectations. But after that weekend, what I came to know was that I actually was going through myself, I guess I was completely depleted, and I hadn't realized it. I was playing the role of trying to be super mom, super woman, which I know a lot of people get into. I just kept going and I didn't ask for help. So by engaging in meditation and taking up that practice, I started to realize things, and I could start seeing where I could change things subtly. As we've mentioned, the subtle world, like all of a sudden I knew how to put proper boundaries in place. And my life just started improving, so it's been my non-negotiable since then.
That's interesting. Meditation is your non-negotiable. That's your everyday.
Every day and evening.
So every day. Okay, Ian, the pressure's on. I met Ian Gawler about almost 30 years ago. And it's how I came to meditation. I won't tell you that long story, but 3 weeks before my husband died from cancer, I went to a retreat that Ian was running. He was really one of the few experts in the world at that time, not just from intellectual point of view and research, but from his own experience, who knew how to face the journey of illness, confront the challenges, and help people pass through to the very final stages. So I went there, and I went to a workshop that he ran, and he said many things, but one statement stayed with me, which was, you never give up on anyone recovering from an illness, but if you're with them at the time when they're passing, you can help them. And that really helped me, because 3 weeks later, my husband passed away. And I got to be in such a beautiful experience with him because of this man. So you know about how crisis can be real gold, real magic. Ian, can you share with us something from your experience, your wisdom?
Sure. Thanks, Carolyn. And all these years later, it's amazing that we should meet in such an environment and be sharing an interaction with so many people. Perhaps to relate what you're saying to your introduction, talking about magic, it would seem there are two types of magic. There's magic based on illusion, and what appears to be magic that's based on truth. So Harry's given us a wonderful example of magic based on illusion, and in that illusion something happens that we don't understand, but we take to be real. Magic that's based on truth, often we describe as a miracle because we don't understand it. Something happens that we don't understand. If we understood it, we'd just say it was truth and we understand it and it's just common garden everyday happening. But when we use the word magic or miracle, something's happened that we don't understand, we don't have an explanation for. And I think in current times, and it speaks to the topic of our conference, so many people have, in a sense, forgotten who they really are. They've misidentified. They've sort of, instead of identifying with the truth of who they are, they're identifying with this persona, this ego, this outer form, you know, this body, the jobs we have, the roles we play, and they get caught up in that, and they miss the truth. And the truth is that at our essence, we're these incredibly loving beings, but on the outside we can be really quite horrid. And unfortunately the world seems to be going through a phase where those difficult aspects of being a human being have got something of an ascendance. And as has been talked about today, it seems like in that cyclical nature, we're in the fortunate place, and certainly we're getting a good sense of it today, of just how many people are interested in reawakening to who they really are and living from their place of truth. And so with any luck, what we take to be magic before too long might seem to be more commonplace.
So that's very beautiful. I love that idea. Magic based on illusion, magic based on truth, which we call miracles, because we don't understand how it happens. And this idea that I think is, you know, a through line, that we've forgotten who we truly are, this essence. And when we connect with that, is that when the magic happens?
Yeah, and I think that's, for a lot of people, their outer lives are so busy these days, they just don't get the opportunity to connect with who they really are. We get caught up, we get swept along in the busyness of life, and there's so many good things in life, and there's difficult things, and they all take our attention. So unless you have a practice like meditation where you stop the busyness, you stand back, sit back, and reconnect with who you really are, reconnect with your own truth, then your whole life can pass you by. And what seems to happen for many people, I think perhaps particularly in the Western world, you know, I come from Australia, I think for many people it's actually a crisis in their personal life, either a personal crisis or crisis of somebody very close to them that they care about, that causes them to interrupt that busyness of life and almost demands that they step back and think what's important to them. So certainly in the work I've done over many years with people dealing with cancer, on the surface of it, a diagnosis of cancer can be quite horrible, and certainly there's many difficulties that can flow from that. But on an inner level and a more meaningful level, for many people like myself, because I had cancer when I was 24 and that's how I had my leg amputated, for many people what the crisis does is give them the opportunity to step back from their life, to really think about what's important and reorientate their life more in line with their truth than with their ego and their outer world.
Thank you, Ian. So I think we're saying if there is a crisis, don't panic. It's a chance to step back, because it's usually the ego who panics, and it's a chance to step back. And it's a pain point, Tammy, but it's a gift at the same time. And you can underline it as your not negotiable, this inner journey, this inner connection.
And I think also it's important to say that in stepping back, it doesn't lead to a passivity. It doesn't lead to you being passive. In fact, from that stillness of meditation and connecting with your truth, and the essence of that comes a great deal of energy and a clarity, like we were hearing about, that actually gives you a clear sense of what you as an individual might be able to do that will be helpful.
I would love to sit with these wonderful souls for, really, I think we could have a number of coffees and long chat. And we don't have any more time this afternoon in this place. But would you thank them for me? Because the really rich experience from all different walks of life. So Artem, Tammy, and Ian, thank you so much, all of you. And yes, thank you. So now we're going off program just for a few minutes. And the reason that we're doing that, and it's really just a few minutes, is because there's someone incredibly special to many of us behind the stage, and there are many behind the stage who have made this happen today. And we would love to be able to name each and every one of them. I will certainly name my friend, great friend Pamela Donnellan, who stage managed this whole event with Ramita Alawat from Delhi. And the two of them have worked together with the teams here, and Katia Roel from Brazil. Alex, who has held the whole of lighting and sound together, he came to play sitar, and he's going to in a moment. And he ended up turning into the great technical person who held it together. But I want to invite up onto the stage just for a couple of minutes to give recognition and a gift to our friend who's come all the way from the north of Brazil, Paulo Marcio, who has done all the graphics here and created the magic behind us in this visual. So Paulo, would you please come up on the stage? Would you please give him a huge round of applause? Thank you very much. Okay, Paulo. And I want to tell you, for the last 3 days, he has been completely in bed, sick, and working on his computer like this with determination. We want to give you a gift. Here is a very special shawl from India. Tell a little bit about your experience.
Om Shanti. Eu realmente espero ter dado uma boa contribuição para um evento tão bonito, tão iluminado como esse. Pessoas que me acolheram tão bem, pessoas de todo canto do mundo. Eu só tenho a agradecer, de verdade. Om Shanti.
I'm so grateful to be here and to be contributing with this program. So he expects that you enjoy this experience.
So his name is Paulo Marcio, but he's also known as the VJ Dexter. So thank you, Paulo, very much. Go back to work. So Brazil is an interesting place because we had Goretti who made the magical dance with Paulo's incredible work behind, and the elephants. He makes the elephants go across. And when we talk about crisis and we talk about a divine mind is also a creative mind. And we've met many creative people. We're inviting onto the stage now Brother Ken O'Donnell, who works in the world of business and high-level government coaching and strategy and hard-edged things. I always like to introduce Ken as a poet, as a composer, as a dreamer, as a mystic, because that's when I see him come alive the most. Oh, he's here. And so he's a wonderful speaker and a wonderful mind and a creative mind. Welcome, Brother Ken O'Donnell.
Thanks, Carol. Thanks very much, Carolyn. So, congratulations for sitting here the whole day. And it's been an incredible experience. I spent most of my time sitting down there with you. But when I think about this topic, the first thing that comes to mind is silence, actually. Silence is the language of God. God doesn't speak Hindi or English or Portuguese or Spanish or German. I'm sure if God could come and speak, we'd be very shocked if he started to say, bonjour, mes amis, or hello, or namaskar. You know, he wouldn't do it. So the language of the divine is silence. And that means actually not just not speaking. At a deeper level, it means to go to the experience rather than continue to talk in our own minds about things. Plato said that thinking was the soul talking to itself. But actually, you can be yourself without talking internally. You don't need words. How can you express love, for example? What is love? Maybe you could tell a few synonyms. Well, love is sort of unconditional, sort of feeling, it's giving. But then you run out of words because you can't explain love in words. And that's why I think, if I think of the second language of the soul, it'll be music. And music is a universal language, actually. And you can notice it anywhere. If you put on some music that's sort of got a good rhythm to it, everyone starts to tap their feet, right? And I had the privilege to do a concert for deaf people. Can you imagine a musical concert, singing songs to people who couldn't hear? I thought, well, how am I going to do this? So what I did was I just shared with the people the emotions that I had in writing the songs. And then, of course, I sang the songs with emotion. And, well, you could notice that people were really feeling it in their hearts. So you can transmit things at a deeper level. And when we talk about a mind that can help change the world, right? Actually, it's not a big secret, because if you look at the state of the world, you can exactly see the expression of the minds of human beings, at least in our human society. At least in our human society, you can see, for example, we think that pollution is something out there, or nature is something out there, but actually when we see pollution, we're seeing our own minds at work. When we see human systems, we see our own minds at work. And I must say that if I really wanted to help, first of all, I have to look at my own creation, how I think, the condition of my relationships, the way that I relate to the material things around me, my house or my finances or whatever, especially the relationships. If there's a mess in our lives, personally, we can trace it to the mess that's in our minds. So this thing of different minds creating a different world is not such a big deal, because that's all we've ever been doing. The world that we live in is the world that we've thought into existence. It's come out of us, individually and collectively. So you look at Delhi. What is Delhi, for example? You look at the traffic. We're in Om Shanti Retreat Center, and the road from here to Gurgaon is like, incredible traffic that you never see in most cities. But what is that? It's a lot of people thinking about what they have to do and creating the world around them. So if we wanted to create a different world, We have to go into that deep silence and touch the bottom of our souls, let's say, and bring that out into our personal lives, and that's it. And I was remembering just after a big financial collapse, it was in 2009, I was with about, I guess, 3,000, 4,000 people in Mexico at a Human Resources International Conference. And since they work in human resources, they were, worried about jobs because they're the ones that hire and fire in companies. And ask them, okay, how many of you will have your jobs 5 years from now? And not many people lifted up their hands because even they were not having a guarantee for their future. And then I asked them, if you are doing something useful or beneficial for the world 5 years from now, do you think the world will give you a job? Everyone put their hands up. And I thought, but why does that happen? How do we know that if I'm using my thinking and my speaking and my doing in a beneficial way, how do I know that the world would look after me? Because it's something inside of us. We know, we suspect that what we do may not be so useful. The way we live our lives may not be so useful. But if you just think, how can I make my thinking and speaking beneficial? I think it's failing the mic. Sorry. Mic is oscillating. Yeah, another one. Worse. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just inviting you to think, to stop and think about the world that you're creating around yourself. And it's been said a few times today, if you're in a sort of a passive state, then you're actually just at the receiving end of so many things. And actually you're receiving maybe the results of your past. But if you start doing something and sending out good vibrations and bringing out the best of you from inside, you can start to notice that the quality of your relationships and the things around you change. And then you start to have confidence that if I can change, well, why can't others do it? And start to bring out the best from inside yourself at a very deep level. Now, I used to be much more involved with music than I am now. But I remember once I was playing a song that I'd written, and I was playing it in my heart for God. As you could see, some of the musicians here were so deeply coming from their heart in bringing that out into the world, that what happened to me was I had the experience that any talent that I have is not for the service of the ego. Any talent that I have to hand it over to the divine. And just as I can play a guitar, for example, I'm the musician, guitar is the instrument. But actually, I'm the instrument and God is the musician. So there are two levels, right? He plays me, I play an instrument. He plays me and I speak, right? And of course, if you're doing something like that, then imagine the human creativity. We are so clever. Human beings are so clever. They can make the fantastic gadgets. They can make, they can make a communication with a satellite that's going around Mars. They can bring back images from the other side of the solar system. They can do so much, but sometimes they can't talk to the person next to them. They can communicate with the other side of the world, but they can't talk with their children or their husband or their wife or their parents. And we're so clever, we can make so many calculations, but at the same time, we do things that are so illogical, right? We can understand grammar so well, we can speak languages so well, but we don't know how to transmit our feelings. So these things, if I go back into a state of silence, I can start to see the words that are forming around me, and I really believe that if human beings could speak the same language, even verbal language, there would be much less problems. But if we could all speak the language of silence, which is the language of God, which is the language of silent love, for example, then at least we'll know how to get along with people who are around us. And if I ask myself, how can I make my life more beneficial? Just look at it. Could you be better with the people around you? Could you bring out your love to the people near you? Could you show could you give benefit to the people who live with you, who work with you? If you can create a different context, then you can start to believe that human beings can actually change the world. Because otherwise, all of us are fairly normal people, right? We have families, we have jobs, we do this, we do that. But we need to do something more than just live our lives. And especially if we're living our lives not so usefully. We could be more beneficial in the way we live our lives and the way we engage with other people. And we can touch the best in others. And I think one of the things that you've probably experienced here, listening to all of these talks and listening to all of this music, something very, very valuable may have been touched in you. And please water that. But that's all we can do. If we're going to make a divine world, it's like being a gardener. You have to plant seeds and you have to look after them. Give them the light of understanding, the water of care or love. Give them the soil of certain values in which they can grow. Give them the time of patience and give them space of freedom to move. And then you'll have a beautiful garden, at least growing in your own house. You can make a room of peace in your house where everyone can sit and believe that this is where they can sit and stay in peace. Can you do that? Have a room for peace in your own house. Can you do that? That everyone can just go there and go to that deeper state of connection with themselves and connection with God. And that will activate the best in the soul. And of course, it will make your home into a golden age, your home into a paradise. It's possible, right? Possible? Okay. So all you have is, from my side and our side, best wishes that your homes become heaven. Okay? So thanks a lot, and now we're going to continue with the program. But the most important thing of all, go into silence, experience your true self, make the connection with the divine, and instead of talking about the experiences, have the experiences. Yeah? Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ken. So now we have some pointers on the impact of a divine mind and clear mind. And I'd like to introduce to you our very own near and dear one who doesn't need an introduction, and a recent recipient of the Shakti Nari Award from the President, Sister Shivani.
Om Shanti. Spiritual response in critical times. And since this morning, we've not just received the tools to do it, but we've received magical energy over here which has strengthened soul power. And it's that energy which will allow us to remain stable in those times of crisis. But what is it that we need to start doing on a daily basis from tomorrow morning, or let's say tonight? I was once with Dadi Janki ji in Pune, and a journalist comes up to Dadi with a paper and pen, ready to write down all the answers. And he asked Dadi ji, what is the secret of your energy? What's the secret of your power? And he was ready to write down. He thought he's going to get a lot of profound knowledge. And Dadi answered him in just 2 words. She said, don't waste it. And he looked at her and he said, what next? She said, nothing. Just don't waste your energy. That's the secret to the energy. Don't waste it. And that's what we all learn on this path of a Raj Yogi lifestyle. Crisis could be personal crisis, crisis in a family, crisis at work, crisis in a city, crisis in a country, and crisis for the world. We all play our part by remaining stable in our own personal crisis. But if we just rewind our life, crisis is not every day. It's once in a while. But small situations are coming to us daily, where if we don't take care, we are depleting soul power. And when we deplete soul power in those little insignificant situations on a daily basis, then this battery is not very charged when it comes to facing a crisis. So for me to be able to remain stable in a crisis, I need to take care of the daily, tiny situations which come every day. Simple situation like getting stuck in a traffic jam, late for a flight. It's a personal crisis at that time. To remain stable and to not create a single waste thought, we would be conserving energy for those crises. Someone said a wrong word, behaved in a way which was just not expected from them. Remain stable, understand them, and respond back with our original purity, goodness, and kindness. We've conserved energy. But if someone didn't behave right, and we created 5 waste thoughts, and then even a disturbed word and disturbed behavior, then that moment was a crisis in which we depleted ourselves. So it's remaining stable throughout the day, scene after scene after scene, irrespective of how people behave to us and independent of how the situation unfolds. We're crossing times of uncertainty. situations uncertain, people's behavior unpredictable. There's only one guarantee, and that's that personal guarantee that I will remain stable, calm, irrespective of what happens outside. That's conserving spiritual power on a daily basis. And when we do that, we're not just taking care of ourselves, but we are radiating power to the situation and radiating power to people and radiating power in the world. So we are not just protecting ourselves in the crisis, we are protecting everyone around us, and we are strengthening people to face their personal crisis. So we only do two things. One, begin our morning. That 1 hour morning meditation, connecting to that divine mind, charging the soul battery, 1 hour to study, which is the emotional diet, taking care during the day of what we watch, read, and listen. In an era of technology and information at every click, emotional diet is very important to remain spiritually powerful. Every click has information to offer, and we are what we watch, read, and listen. If we allow ourselves to watch, read, and listen everything that comes to us on our phone, on iPads and laptops, it's not possible to keep this strengthened. So taking care of what we consume from the world and consume only that who we want to become. And which means consume information only which is full of compassion, love, empathy, and purity. Watch, read, and listen only that. Which means protect ourselves from the vibrations of the world, create higher vibrations, and influence the world. Not in the direction to get influence, but in the direction to influence the world. So 1 hour in the morning, taking care during the day about what we watch, read, and listen from the world, and a little attention in how we respond to those little situations during the day, conserving energy every time, which keeps the soul battery charged. And then, if ever there is a crisis in our personal life, we've already created the sanskar of remaining stable and influencing the scene instead of getting influenced by the scene. It will have to happen by practicing in the tiny situations of life. Let's sit last few minutes in silence, and all the power that we've created, shared, absorbed during the day, just a minute to radiate it to the world. And a personal practice that for the next 15 minutes, as we walk out of this hall, angels for the world, 15 minutes of silence. As if there's absolutely nobody in the hall, just angels walking in silence, radiating God's power and love, not to this just beautiful city, but to the world. Are we ready? 15 minutes silence? 15 minutes silence? That will be our meditation even while we are walking and driving back home. I am a powerful being. Stable, always. Stable, always. my thoughts, words, and behavior are independent of the situation or the people around me. I'm untouched by the energies around me. I influence. I radiate. God's power and love to the scene, to the people with me in that scene, and thereby radiating it to the world. I am God's angel. My life, my purpose, while I'm doing everything that I'm doing, is to radiate power to the world. I am His angel. I am Satyugi, divine soul. The next 15 minutes, silence time. As I walk out, drive home, I'm serving the world. My every thought is strengthening the world, is energizing every soul. I'm shifting the world from Kalyug to Satyug. I am the creator of the new Satyugi world. Next 15 minutes, deep silence. Walking out like an angel, light and powerful. Request everyone to rise and start moving out in silence. In silence. 15 minutes in silence. Angels healing the world. सभी उठते जाएंगे, लेकिन मौन में 15 मिनट का मौन चलते हुए भी हम विश्व की सेवा कर रहे हैं। हर कर्म में सेवा है, हर संकल्प में सेवा है। साइलेंस में चलेंगे।
Thank you.